reminders of the pharaohs and their awesome civilization are to be found everywhere here in Egypt. The relics they've left behind, the pyramids, the temples, the tombs, are by far the richest and most prolific of any ancient culture anywhere in the world. And it's the treasures of ancient Egypt and the vibrancy of modern Egypt that we're about to discover in a trip starting here near the Sudanese border. Egypt's stunning ancient civilization confronts us from the outset. The magnificent relocated temples at Abu Simbel are the launching point for an expedition that will take us way north, first to Aswan and its mighty dams, then along the Nile River to Luxor and its incredible temples and tombs, and finally onto the capital of Cairo, where we'll explore new excavations around the pyramids. Along the way, a wealth of modern experiences as well, as we sail down the Nile River with the acknowledged leaders of modern travel in Egypt, Abercrombie and Kent. Ahead, the singing boatmen. Exotic dancers. Sumptuous feasts. That's like chicken.
Exactly. This is a little bit more tasty.
Colourful bazaars. And a high society wedding. Upper Egypt these days is dominated by the waters of Lake Nasser, created by the new high dam at Aswan. It's on the shores of Lake Nasser that we meet the Egyptologist who'll guide us on the journey ahead, Hisham Abdullah. Hey Hisham.
Oh, welcome Greg to my Egypt.
Great lake we're on here.
Oh yeah, this lake, it's the second largest man-made lake in the whole world. We're talking about like more than 500 kilometers.
So large is Lake Nasser that its rising waters threatened Egypt's most stunning temple. And here it is, the most beautiful and imposing construction of the greatest pharaoh in Egyptian history, Ramses II. What is truly phenomenal about this temple is that it was originally built 3,000 years ago on another site nearby. In a classic modern-day rescue operation, it's been relocated to here at Abu Simbel.
This is a miracle. I'm always saying that this temple is an ancient and modern engineer miracle. That during the ancient Egyptian time, how they cut or hewn this temple in the rock like for 207 feet deep. And in our modern day, in 1964, how they built a cofferdam to get rid of the water. Yes. And after that, they cut down this temple in 807 blocks of sandstone.
It took UNESCO experts 4 years to rebuild this temple on higher land. Its 4 mammoth statues of Ramses II, guarded these days by the keeper of the key. He takes Hisham and I on a personal tour into the temple. Inside, the full glory of the great temple is revealed, a labyrinth of rooms and passages, all ornately carved. Amongst the engravings, scenes of the solar barks used to carry the dead to the underworld. Ramses II also faithfully documented his many battles.
We're going to see the battle between Ramses II and the Hittites. The Hittites are the Turkish.
Finally, we reach the innermost chamber, the sacred sanctuary. This is where the four gods of the great temple sit on their thrones, waiting for the dawn. It's an awesome introduction to Egypt, this temple of Abu Simbel, a sign of the rich treasures ahead. From Abu Simbel, we're flying north, tracking over the seemingly endless deserts that cover most of Egypt. Here at least there is water, backed up behind the formidable dams of Aswan, to where we're flying. In Aswan, there's water aplenty and life abounds. There are graceful feluccas still used for trade, just as they were in the days of the pharaohs.
Well, feluccas have sailed the Nile like this for many thousands of years.
Oh yeah, we're talking about like 2800 BC. And inside one of the tomb, which just goes back to the Old Kingdom, we saw that they depicted the felucca on the wall of this tomb, yeah?
The young skipper still dresses in a traditional galabeo. Sailing is his full-time job, just like his ancestors.
So his father's been a boatman and his father's father was a boatman?
وجدك يعني العيلة كلها مش كده؟ العيلة كلها. Yes, his grandfather. See, this is the way that they sail. Can you see that? I mean, they sail like that, peaceful.
Not so peaceful are the chores of the deckhand as he scrambles to the top of the mast with ease. Music is a passion as well. These felucca crewmen burst into an Egyptian folk song first thing in the morning. And what about the children, using crude homemade boats to come alongside to sing their version of famous songs? Then there are the fishermen. The techniques they employ, banging the water to frighten the fish into the nets, have been used for thousands of years. It's out on these waters that we sail past another temple, this time built by the Greco-Romans 1700 years ago.
This temple had been moved to in 1972.
Because of the rising
of
waters.
Water after the high dam. Yeah.
So it's indicative of the rich history of this country. It's not just the ruins, the remains, the reminders of the pharaohs, but also we're looking at the Greeks and the Roman infiltration here.
That's right. There is a lot of Greek and Roman temples here in Egypt, especially in Upper Egypt here, and they are really in a very good condition because of the weather. You know, the weather is dry here, no rain.
Over the centuries, Aswan has been the gateway city to Africa. That means its markets are particularly colourful as goods arrive from other exotic countries further south. This Nubian woman is selling bags.
Bags, yeah. بتعملوهم من ايه؟ Huh? From the reeds. They made them out of the reeds. All those.
This artisan carves stone.
It's very hard stone. You like kind of look, can you see that?
Yeah.
While everyday produce, such as bread, is still baked in the time-honoured way.
Here we got some different kind of breads here, as you see.
Well, let's get some. I'm getting a little peckish.
I have some. عايزين دينا رغيف عيش من هنا.
Fresher, you can't get it any fresher than this, eh?
No, this is just hot. It's just baked right now. See?
In the classroom, Egypt's liberal attitude to religion can be seen in operation, even though the country is predominantly Muslim.
You can see that there's no discrimination here in these schools. Both the Islamic and Christian children study together.
Oh yeah, this class, like some of them they're Christian, some of them they're Muslim, they're together, and this school, it's a Christian school.
Throughout Egypt, Arabic is the language of written and oral communication. These young practitioners reminding us that its symbols are written from right to left. The next part of our Egyptian expedition takes us down the Nile River from Aswan. Our transport is Abercrombie & Kent's Sunboat 2, a luxury liveaboard that allows us to view in comfort the richness of life on and along the Nile.
So Hesham, the Nile has to be the lifeblood of Egypt.
Oh yeah, it's always, since the ancient Egyptian time. Ancient Egyptian, they were always living in the banks of the Nile, you know, they never lived in the desert. And the capital of Egypt, the first capital of Egypt in the Old Kingdom, it was very close to the Nile. Thebes, which is the capital of Egypt in the New Kingdom, also it was on the Nile. And still, up today, 93%, 94% of the population living in the banks of the Nile.
So in the old days, this of course was the source of civilization along the banks of the Nile, and
sure.
Today it's exactly the same, eh?
Yes, sure, and during ancient Egyptian time, that was the highway of ancient Egyptian. They used the Nile to move all the granite from Aswan all the way to the Giza pyramids.
As we float gracefully down the mighty Nile, a temple of some size begins to materialize on the right bank. It's the Temple of Komombo, a stunning Greco-Roman structure erected in the early 2nd century BC. In its shadows, a large population of Nubians work in the fields. These are the workers displaced by the rising waters of the Aswan High Dam. Again, the loose garment they're wearing is the galabeo, something Hisham convinces me to try on.
Well, Hisham, I'm feeling very loose and easy in my galabeo.
You look great.
And this is the
shell. They call it shell here.
Do you mind putting it on?
Yeah, sure. I will.
Since I can't do it myself.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
So now this is the clothing that is worn traditionally here in Upper Egypt.
It's actually not just in Upper Egypt, it's in the countryside. Everywhere in the countryside they wear this galabeya. We call it galabeya in Arabic. And also the women, they're wearing a black galabeya here in the countryside. And
now
also,
this is worn regardless of religion, isn't it?
Have nothing to do with religion. Muslim, Christian, they wear the same galabeya. A lot of people in Upper Egypt, they wear it because of the weather. The weather is really hot here.
Now that I've dressed like an Egyptian,
yeah,
some of the greetings, I see people greeting each other like this.
It's special in the boat. This is just in the boat. When a boat see another boat, they always say, "ازيك يا حاج وعامل ايه?"
And I see them hugging and kissing each other.
That's right, that's right. They hug like that. When
yes.
And there's 4 times. When they kiss each other, it's 4 times. And sometimes you're going to see 2 men holding hands in the street.
And I see them using their hands a lot too.
That's right. You know, Egypt is a Mediterranean country. So we are like the Italian, we're like the French. We're using our hands a lot when we talk. Yeah.
Some Egyptians also use their bodies to communicate. Take Arena, the belly dancer. She's in big demand for her ability to move her body. Passengers are given a very close reminder of her assets. For me, there's still a long way to go to getting the movement right. Then there's this whirling dervish. Around and around he spins, an act he's able to keep up for 20 dizzy minutes or so. All of this modern entertainment takes place outside a most extraordinary ancient setting. The temple of Komombo basks in a golden aura as a near full moon lights up the countryside. Sailing next morning takes us further down the Nile to the ancient capital of the region at Edfu. Transferring to a horse and buggy, we're carried through the streets of this peaceful sugar centre to the best preserved temple in all of Egypt.
Temple of Horus here?
Oh yeah, it was built during the reign of the Greek, but by the ancient Egyptian, and you can see the hieroglyphic, it's everywhere here. And this is one of the most beautiful temples in Egypt, Temple of Edfu.
The Greeks preserved the Egyptian designs so as not to insult their hosts. Typical of those designs is this superbly carved falcon guarding the temple entrance.
This statue that we saw there, Horus, it's made out of granite and represent the god Horus.
So who was Horus?
Horus is the sun god.
The sun god?
The sun
I
god.
thought Ra was the sun god.
Ra, he was the sun god in the old kingdom. In the new kingdom, we have Horus.
Certainly the sun god still rules very strongly today in Egypt. As we set sail once again for even more spectacular ruins further north in Luxor, the sun bears down on us with a vengeance. Yet, hot as it is, we're tempted onto the deck for a classic Egyptian lunch.
Hesham, this would be a typical meal in the countryside, sitting down and a good variety of salads, of meats.
And here also special, this is what we call it kosheri.
Yes.
And kosheri, it's a very, very popular. All of the local people, the workers, they always eat it as a dinner or lunch. And this is like rice, lentil, fried onion and pasta too.
What do you call this one?
Kofta.
The kofta,
We call this kofta, yeah.
which is minced lamb.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay.
This is really gorgeous. This is beautiful.
Actually,
Oh yeah.
Very Moorish.
Oh yeah.
You enjoying?
Yeah.
Now, what about here? We've got the greens.
Yeah. Here we got
Like a bread.
eggplant, but this is different kind of eggplant. You see, this is a white one, and this is squash, and they stuff it with rice and meat and a lot of spices, different kind of spices, and this is also typical Egyptian.
Further down the Nile, we approach a construction that appears to block our passage. It's a weir damming the river, but there is a way through.
Well, we're in the township of Esna, about to pass through a lock. The Nile River will drop about 30 feet here.
Even though it is a tight squeeze, we power into the lock. On either side, we watch with as much interest as we take in them. Finally, we're through, powering onwards for yet another stretch of this remarkable river. An afternoon under power, and we approach what promises to be an area incredibly rich in culture, both past and present. On the west bank of the River Nile, inland from the legendary city of Luxor, stands a mountain range that at first appears hauntingly arid. But below its stark cliffs is a phenomenal collection of entombed pharaohs, their queens, children and followers.
We're entering valleys of powerful history. Behind us here, Valley of the Queens. Down this way, the even more symbolic Valley of the Kings.
For the pharaohs, these vast tombs were a place for them to rest as they awaited immortality.
This is the tomb of Ramses VI. And it's really, the carving is beautiful inside. The color is still in good condition inside.
Like all of the pharaohs, the tomb of Ramses VI was never meant to be seen by mortals, but rather was supposed to serve as a transition to the afterlife.
Here to the right side and to the left side, you see that the colors are really in a very good condition. And here to the left side, you see all those people are tied here. Those are the enemies of the pharaoh.
These tombs give us stunning insight into the soul of a dead civilization. This one's more than 3,000 years old, with the pharaoh's body kept here, deep underground.
And here, this is the burial chamber. We can see the sarcophagus. And actually, we found the mummy of this pharaoh in another tomb.
Surrounding the tomb, complex hieroglyphics.
Well, this is something special, being allowed not only into the burial chamber, but so close to these hieroglyphics.
All this hieroglyphic here talking about the Book of the Dead, the Book of the Gates, and we can see here those people without their heads. Those are like the evil spirits. And we can read hieroglyphic from right to left, or from left to right, or from the top to the bottom.
One extraordinary monument in the nearby Valley of the Queens is this imposing mortuary.
This is the temple of the Queen Hatshepsut.
Built right out of the limestone cliffs here.
Oh yeah, all this mountain are limestone here. And the Queen Hatshepsut, she ruled for 20 years.
The formidable Hatshepsut declared herself pharaoh, making her the first woman to ever reign as a king. And all around this building, thousands of other tombs and temples. For archaeologists, it's a gold mine, with every dig like this one revealing rich new treasures. In fact, the whole area around the Valley of the Kings and Queens is alive with excavations like this. A case of digging under one Egypt to find another two Egypts. Down on the plains, there's a flurry of modern-day activity.
And what are you selling here?
It begins with the children, like Iman here, offering homemade toys of cloth.
£1 for this?
Yes.
And you made this?
Yes.
How old are you, Iman?
10.
10 years old?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye.
With so much soft limestone around them, the adult artisans cut blocks of it into workable sizes. Others, like Hussein A. Bukabeer, will then sculpt it into works of art.
This is just like a copy from the tombs. And people here really are very talented. And they are artists by nature. They inherit this from their father, their grandfather, and it's exactly the same like the ancient Egyptian.
Hussein is sculpting a precise replication from one of the tombs. Other tradesmen nearby are working with alabaster, a white form of gypsum that is shaped into ornaments like this bowl.
Beautiful work, huh? Like I'm saying, those people never change. I mean, those people exactly the same like the ancient Egyptian. Yeah?
It's a time-consuming process. These two workmen spending some 15 days sculpting this work. No matter where you go around the West Bank, there's this same sense of timelessness. In the lush flatland bordering the Nile, you can still see shadoofs being used to draw water. Dough is still kneaded outdoors to be baked in crude ovens. And in the fields, Egyptians go about their rural work in much the same manner as when the pharaohs ruled. Even their drinks will be made from plants that grew here in pharaonic times.
Greg, you see this? This is the hibiscus flower. Do you remember the first day we have the welcome drink? And it's made out of this flower. And here we drink it as a tea or as a cold drink.
Refreshment is certainly on our minds as that harsh Egyptian sun settles over the Nile's west bank. Because this evening we're being invited to dinner, Egyptian style. Our host is Mohammed Khalil El Taba, joined by his wife Nagat and their two young sons.
Mohammed, what impresses me is that all of this is from your own farm. You have your own water buffalo, for instance?
Of course, that's something very important for every family to have a water buffalo. That's how we get the butter and the cheese, and all the dairy products we have it.
And you're baking your own bread here?
Yes, we grow the wheat as well.
Grow the wheat, bake the bread?
Yes, yes. Nothing here, we bought it. except the glasses. أنت مش في التصوير. هرجع تاني ده هرجع تاني.
One delicacy they eat twice a week are juicy young pigeons.
Just like chicken.
Exactly. But this is a little bit more tasty.
You think this is a better delicacy than chicken, eh?
Yes. This is exactly 1 month old.
So it's a tender young bird.
Exactly.
Now, how do we go here? I've got lots of rice and...
You go start with the seeds. First, take the 2 wings.
Yes.
Then the 2 legs.
Yes. Rip off these legs. There's not too much meat here, is there?
No, but the taste.
The taste is great. So you're picking up the whole body now?
Yeah.
Where am I going? From here?
Back.
From
No,
the butt,
from
yeah.
the other side.
Yes?
You missed a part.
I messed it up. All right, here we go.
Exactly.
And you also use your hands, don't you?
Exactly.
You use your hands to eat it.
You touch it, you smell it, you eat it, everything is right. You see it, nothing missing.
At meal's end, the 2 sons show off their riding skills around the dining table. Six-year-old Tahar on the family donkey. 10-year-old Corinne on their horse. It's a demonstration to us of just how important controlling animals is to this very traditional Egyptian rural family. Then it's time to be ferried back across the Nile. And just one more climax, our boatman breaking into spontaneous song. The building they're serenading us to is the Temple of Luxor. It demonstrates the sheer grandeur of this city's monumental architecture. The Temple of Luxor, bathed in a golden aura and overlooked by a colossal obelisk of pink granite.
Obelisk, it's made of one piece of granite, and as we know that the ancient Egyptian, they will cut the granite from Aswan. This is the only place, and I'm talking about like 220 kilometers from here. So just try to imagine they move it all the way from Aswan to Luxor through the Nile.
As in Abu Simbel, this temple too is guarded by images of Pharaoh Ramses II.
Ramses II, he's a really big pharaoh, and Ramses II, he goes back to the New Kingdom about 1290 BC, and he ruled the country for 66 years. And when he died, he was 97 years old.
It was Ramses II who completed this imposing edifice, a reminder of the great city of Thebes, which for centuries was capital of the pharaonic empire.
Now, this was the house of the gods.
That's right. Temple for ancient Egyptian, it's not like a church for the Christian, it's not like a mosque for the Muslim, it's the house of God.
Outside, leading to the equally impressive Karnak temple, a long line of sphinx.
Sphinx, it's the head of a pharaoh and the body of a lion. The ancient Egyptian, they do believe that the lion is the king. So the pharaoh is a king. They represent him as a lion, as a symbol of the power and the strength.
We leave the old capital and its temples of Luxor and Karnak at dawn. Ahead, the modern Egyptian capital of Cairo. The Egyptians call their top city Al-Qahira, the victorious. Certainly, it's a captivating place. A vibrant present sitting right alongside an incredible past. Its streets are buzzing with 20 million people, many of them living much the same way as their ancestors have in centuries past. Even their cemeteries, like the vast city of the dead, are alive with live-in residents. One bazaar in particular has a long and rich history.
Here, this is Khan al-Khalili Bazaar. And you know, this bazaar is really very old. It's like 1,500 years old. And here they're selling a lot of silver, gold.
Gold jewellery is treasured by the modern young women of Egypt. So too is their perfume.
And all of those perfume made here in Egypt.
This technician can mix any aroma from pure essence in minutes.
You have everything. You have something same like the French perfume, like opium, exact more better in opium French. Like poison, like Giorgio, White Linen, Joy, Oscar de la Renta, Chanel 5, Coco Chanel. I have something also from Egypt here, we call it Queen Nefertiti, a Queen Hatshepsut, a Queen Cleopatra, Jasmine, Rose, Violet, Carnation. We have many kinds.
Then there's Cairo's oldest coffee shop, Il Fishawi. Here they'll keep up a steady supply of charcoal for your water pipe.
Ahmed, he's smoking the water pipe. And you know what he's smoking? He's smoking tobacco. And this tobacco have the mix of the flavor of fruits, like apple. And also they smoke here what we call it, the sweet tobacco. And the sweet tobacco, they mix it with molasses.
And finally, my own weakness, a shop full of sweets.
Some genuine Turkish delight.
Yes,
How is this made?
this is powder and sugar for honey. This is noir.
Oh, sounds good.
This is for taste. I know problem.
And tastes even better.
It's good.
The oldest museum here in Egypt. This museum, it was built in 1897.
Okay.
And
One building not to be missed in Cairo is the Museum of Egyptian Antiquities. Here are arrayed a vast and rich collection of more than 100,000 relics, covering almost every period of ancient Egyptian history. Treasures date back almost 5,000 years, like these life-size statues.
And this is Rahotub and his wife Nefert, and he was the half-brother of the pharaoh Cheops, the builder of the Giza pyramid.
Hisham shows me one of the masterpieces of the museum.
So what have we got here?
This is the statue of the pharaoh Khafre, and we can see that this statue is made out of one piece of the diorite stone, the chair and the statue itself.
But it's from the tomb of the child king Tutankhamun that we find the most amazing treasures. There's his funerary mask, an exact likeness of the king.
Sure, it's made of one piece of gold, and we're talking about like 13 kilograms of gold. And we can see the cobra and the vulture there, how the details of the cobra and the vulture. We can see the false beard, and all the false beard is inlaid with lapis lazuli, and we see all of it is inlaid with lapis lazuli and turquoise.
Tutankhamun's body was found covered with jewellery and semi-precious stones, all of it now on display. There's even his funerary couches. And the mummified sarcophagus in which his body was held, inlaid and adorned with semi-precious stones.
We found 3 coffins, each one it was inside the other one. The one which is in front of us here, it's made out of wood, and the other one, the first one there, it's made out of solid gold. We are talking about 113 kilograms of a solid gold, and this is really incredible.
Incredible as this museum's display is, there's an even grander display awaiting us east of Cairo, the pyramids. In their shadow, Egyptians go about their daily rural lives. It's from this area that many children are recruited to train as carpet weavers. At the Oriental Carpet School, we're given a hearty Egyptian welcome. Mohammed Metwi is the manager.
Mohammed, we're looking at what many people would describe as child labour here, but in fact you say you're training these children.
Yes, we're teaching them how they can do the manual carpet, and besides their study in the regular schools.
These girls work at lightning speed, weaving flat out for 3 hours every weekday for the next 3 years.
How young do they start working here?
Their age is here not less than 9 years and no more than 16.
Apart from the children, this man works a traditional loom, spending the next year weaving a carpet he's designed himself. And at the end of all that hard labour, here's the stunning results. Carpets of silk and wool, many of them of such intricate weaving, their design shows strongly on both sides. Also close to the pyramids, horse studs showcasing their finest Arab stallions. And nearby, a pharaonic village.
Well, this pharaonic centre's quite good in that it shows us the entire history, the recreated history of the days of the pharaohs.
That's right. They show you everything. They show you the papyrus in front of us. They show you the statues of some of the pharaohs. They show you some statues of the goddess Isis, the god Ammon, and right now we're going to see also the people, how they're making the papyrus, the people, how they're working in their fields.
How they used to live.
How they used to live.
The scenes recreated go back as far as 6,000 years ago, when agriculture and commerce in Egypt were already well advanced. Mud bricks were already being shaped for housing. Potters had perfected their pouring jugs. While artistic efforts such as painting and carving were being practiced. The papyrus plant was already being processed into writing paper.
Before, you see there's a lot of water inside here. So for that, that's right. For that reason, it's very easy to cut. You see, very easy to cut it. So for that reason, they just get rid of all of the water from here, like this one. Can you see this one? Yeah. So it will be really very strong.
So it's as simple as taking the inner part of the papyrus plant, pressing it for a week or two to get rid of the water, and hey presto, one has...
That we were ready to ride.
And to wrap up this tour through Egyptian history, we're given a taste of bread the way it used to be made. A mixture of wheat and water, baked for just a few seconds. Our Egyptian experience is drawing to a close, and what a finale! a visit to the Great Pyramids. Considered by the ancient Greeks to be one of the 7 wonders of the world, the pyramids continue to intrigue and puzzle visitors 4,500 years after they were erected. Together with the neighbouring Sphinx, they've survived the rise and fall of great dynasties and outlasted Egypt's many conquerors. Several things surprise me about this historic site. Just how many thousands of Egyptians still flock here every day. The fact that camels and donkeys are still worked directly beneath the walls of the pyramids. And just how steep the pyramids really are.
You get an idea of just how immense the pyramids are when you try to climb it. These building blocks are almost as tall as me.
One recent discovery near the pyramids are the tombs of the workers who built them.
Hashem, these tombs would prove that the people that built the pyramids were in fact not slaves.
That's right, because they are well respected and they built for them tombs, as we see in front of us. That means that they will have a chance in the hereafter.
There were 700 of these being found so far?
So far, and we're still working.
The man credited with discovering these workers' tombs is Zahi Hawass, Director of Egypt's Department of Antiquities. I joined him in a recently renovated tomb.
So now you've only just opened this room up, haven't you?
Yeah, we opened this tomb just recently, and it's a tomb dated back 4,200 years ago, and it's for an important man who was a vizier.
Zahi Hawass also reveals plans to place a capping of gold on top of one of the pyramids.
First, we have to put it in the top of the Great Pyramid with a helicopter.
Wow.
And light it. And this will be shown satellite to everyone all over the world.
The new innovations are certain to draw still bigger crowds to the pyramids, already Egypt's most visited site. And no time of the day better brings out the mystery of these gigantic burial grounds than at sunset. The last light from the sun god Ra giving an ethereal effect to what is the only surviving great wonder of the world. Having spent the day at the pyramids, we're invited to a high society wedding back in Cairo. Dalia Makram is the bride. Tawfiq Reni, her new husband. They're given a musical introduction to a highly formal ceremony in a large Cairo hotel. It's a very elaborate and expensive affair, the equivalent of $80,000 spent on entertainment. Much of that goes on the orchestra.
Hi, Dina. Very pleased to meet you. I'm from Australia.
And to this lady, Egypt's foremost belly dancer, Dina. A quick change of dress, and Dina performs the dance that has entranced Egyptians for centuries. It's a moving performance. a great climax to what has been a classic trip in the footsteps of the pharaohs.